VLR.
If spending money like water was the answer to our country's problems, we would have no problems now.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and Happy New Year's. Welcome to the Modern Comments radio show here on Vigilant Liberty Radio. We are pre-recorded tonight because it is New Year's Eve, so I hope whatever you are doing or whatever your plans may be, you have a wonderful time and stay safe out there. I want to welcome to the program this evening Rachel Veronica, who you can find on Twitter at Rachel Veronica. Hi, Rachel. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I am well. I am very well. And I also want to welcome to the show Tyler Durden, who you can find on Twitter at Rotten Core Blog. Hi, Tyler. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you guys?
I am good. I am very good. And I'm very excited that both of you were able to do this. I know we're pre-recording this, for those of you that may be listening, a couple of weeks before New Year's Eve, and this will be the New Year's Eve show. But I'm very excited that we get to do this, and I'm hoping we get a lot of people who tune in and listen to the podcast, because I think it's going to be a good show. And for those of you that have seen the teases and my tweets about it, we are having the great Die Hard debate of 2014. Every year about this time, it pops up on Twitter and social media whether or not Die Hard is or is not a Christmas movie. So I had mentioned this a couple of weeks ago on Twitter, and I had Rachel, who is the pro, it is a Christmas movie, and Tyler, who is the, it's not a Christmas movie, respond to those tweets. So I asked both of them if they'd like to do the show and have a debate. And so we're going to talk a little bit about one of my favorite movies. I won't say what side I am on, although it's probably pretty obvious to everybody who knows me. It's one of my favorite action movies. That's Die Hard, which came out in 1988. It was directed by John McTiernan, who also did Die Hard with a Vengeance and the movie Predator, starring Bruce Willis. One of my favorite actors of all time, Alan Rickman, and a bunch of other not so big names, I don't think, but I think it's one of the most popular action movies, and definitely one that gets social media riled up this time of year, because lots of people fall down on the it is a Christmas movie, it is not a Christmas movie side of the debate. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about why we like it, and then we're going to go into the debate about whether or not it is in fact a Christmas movie. So I will start with my guests and defer to them. Tyler, talk a little bit about the movie. Are you a fan of the movie, first of all?
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorite. Actually, it is my favorite action movie. When I was about like 15 when the movie came out, and okay. I had a man crush on Bruce Willis, like way before there was actually a man crush. There was actually a term. I don't think we had that term in 1988, but I had a man crush on Bruce Willis. So I actually went to that movie, bought a ticket 4 times when it came out. I think I even went one time by myself, which was pretty sad. But anyway, beside that, it was. I liked Bruce Willis, and then when this movie came out, I went to see it and, loved it. And, I think, to this day, it kind of stands up, when you compare it to all the action movies, all the great action movies, action heroes that you can think of. John McClane and Die Hard, stands up to any of them.
He does. And I don't think it's sad if you go to a movie by yourself. I have been known to do that.
Well,
that kind
I
of
mean, I was like a 15-year-old kid, and I'm like, go to this movie. I think, I don't know why I just kept going to it. I went, like I said, 4 times, and
they let you go see it when you were 15, even though it was rated R.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay,
my parents, my parents were cool like that.
It was the 80s. It was a different time. You could do that.
They were a little more lax about
that.
stuff like that. I just remember, I look older than I am, so I've never gotten ID'd for anything. Even when I was 18, my 18th birthday, I went to the casino to play bingo, and I literally tripped over an upturned rug because my birthday's in January, so they had all those rugs for the snow. Tripped in front of the security guards. They looked at me, didn't even say a word, and let me go about my business. So I've never been ID'd for anything. So I've gone to R-rated movies when I wasn't quite old enough to, and they never said a word to me. And that was, I'd say I turned 18 in 2001. So yeah, if you were 15, I didn't see the movie because I was 5 when it came out. I didn't see it until I was in college. My college roommate was the one who turned me on to Die Hard. We would sit in our room because our cable never worked. For the entire year that we were roommates together, they could never figure out why the cable to our room never worked. So we didn't have cable television for that year, which was fine because there was a ton of other stuff to do. But we watched a lot of movies, and Die Hard was one of the movies that she introduced me to. And we watched it in our room, and I like you, it's probably my favorite action movie. It's fast-paced, it's clever, it's got some humor, it's got a lot of action. It's got an interesting plot. It's got its flaws. Before we went on the call, I was watching Cinema Sins on YouTube, and they have one for Die Hard. So I'll send you the link, and I'll make sure I put the link up in the show post because it's very funny. And I've actually been watching Cinema Sins, Everything Wrong with Whatever movie in 7 minutes or less for the past hour and a half, and just laughing hysterically because.
Yeah,
they point out
great.
some of the more ridiculous things. I'm sorry, what was that, Tyler?
Yeah, those are hilarious.
They are. So kudos to whoever does that because I am highly amused and I have subscribed to their YouTube channel. But yeah, I started watching it in college, and now if it's on TV and the kids aren't around, usually it's edited. But it's still, even for the 80s, I think one of the more violent films. Like you watch it today and you still go, yeah, that's pretty bloody. So I don't.
Yeah, it is a pretty bloody movie. I mean, I think we're desensitized to it now. Just the movies that come out now, and even TV shows. The violence is way more than I guess we were used to. And I guess for 1988, it probably was a pretty violent movie. You think about it in that context, yeah.
Yeah, and I still think it is. And with 3 kids under the age of 7 running around the house, it's not one that I can sit down and watch with the whole family quite yet. So, but I do have it on DVD, and it is one of my favorites. So, Rachel, tell us a little bit about your experience with Die Hard.
Well, being just a little bit older than you, I was actually 6 years old when that movie came out. And I do remember growing up watching it when I was younger probably being about 12 and up. I mean, it's just absolutely, it's a classic. It's most definitely, I would definitely consider it a Christmas movie. It fits in so many ways. It just so happens to be an action movie as well. And I think that you guys, you're mentioning Bruce Willis, and who doesn't love Bruce, but we need to remember the true unsung hero of the film, Reginald VelJohnson.
Yes, we do. And I when I said earlier that
and his Twinkies.
Yes, there weren't a lot of big names. You will, if you don't know the name, you will know his face because he played the dad. And now I'm going to blank out on the TV show. But it was on
Family Matters.
Family Matters. He played the dad on Family Matters, opposite Steve Urkel. And yes, he is a lot of fun, and that is one of my favorite lines in the movie is when he shows up, he being the cop that Reginald VelJohnson plays, Sergeant Al Powell. He shows up at Nakatomi Plaza and gets caught up in the act of terrorism going on there, and Bruce Willis looks out the window and goes, "Welcome to the party, pal." I think that's probably one of the best lines in the movie. There's also the line where he's driving around the plaza and he doesn't see anything going on, and Bruce Willis looks out the window and says, "Who's driving that car? Stevie Wonder?" And it's on CinemaSins they go, "Well, that's a little bit racist." And it is. There's that wit that goes through it, and yeah, he's the voice of, like, he's that tie between the guy who actually knows what's going on, and I love how the movie makes some government agencies, not all of them, and it's a movie, so keep this in mind. I'm not trying to get, serious or political here, but it makes the police captain and the FBI look like complete and total idiots. And, it takes this beat cop from New York, which is what John McClane is. He's in L.A. visiting his estranged wife over the Christmas season, and it takes him, who's running around in this building barefoot and in a dirty, nasty T-shirt, and a beat cop to take down, these criminals when the FBI and the LAPD just completely screw everything up every step of the way. And everything they do wrong, they're met by these terrorists who just are armed to the teeth, who are pretty ruthless, and who want what they want. They want those bearer bonds, $600 and some odd million in bearer bonds.
Mm-hmm.
And in the same vein that we have to give credit to Reginald VelJohnson for Al Powell, we have to take some time to talk about Alan Rickman, who I love, as Hans Gruber. Because I think that this was probably his breakout role, the one where he really sort of came into, the scene in the movie and in the movies, and the first role where he really got that recognition as an actor. And he's such a smooth, up until the very end of the movie. And before we go any further, if you haven't seen the movie, 1, do that. 2, spoiler alert, so don't send us angry tweets saying we ruined the movie for you. It's been out for almost 30 years, so if you haven't seen it, it's not our fault if we spoil it for you. But up until the end, when the plan kind of falls apart and he realizes it's not going to work, and he's taken Holly Gennaro, John McClane's wife, hostage, he's pretty smooth and pretty suave, and he knows what he wants, and he's pretty confident in his plan until everything falls apart around him. And he's probably one of the best looking bad guys in all of action films. I'm hard pressed off the top of my head to think of anybody who's more better dressed and who has a sexier voice than Alan Rickman as Hans Gruber. So if you know anybody, you can feel free to let me know. But
maybe James Spader, but James Spader doesn't really do action movies.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to the bad guys we love, Alan Rickman's definitely up there at the top for so many reasons.
Well, yeah.
But I'm trying to think of the other top ones, and John Malkovich would be a good one. Mm-hmm. But again, not action so much.
Malkovich is a good bad guy. He really is.
He's a fantastic bad guy.
Wasn't he in was it Clear and Present Danger with Harrison Ford? Let me pull it up here. I've got IMDb open.
He was also Malkovich was in.
No, it's Willem Dafoe.
What was the movie with
Con Air?
Clint Eastwood was the Secret Service agent.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one I'm looking up for, because he wears that costume and they have that fight scene in the elevator for John Malkovich and Clint Eastwood. And I'm trying to figure out which one that was. It wasn't Clear and Present Danger.
He was gonna kill the president or something like that in the movie.
Not Con Air. Yeah, he was gonna kill the president with a homemade gun made of wood and a rubber band.
Right. Yeah, he was really good.
In the Line of Fire. It was In the Line of Fire.
Okay, there you go.
With Clint Eastwood. Yeah, that was also, yeah, he was a good guy, bad guy in there. And everything that Alan Rickman does. The other infamous bad guy that I can think of off the top of my head that he played was the Sheriff of Nottingham in the
1991
version of Robin Hood with someone who was probably the worst Robin Hood in the history of the genre, Kevin Costner, but he played the Sheriff of Nottingham, and he